Morning, good
Hold
afternoon,
on,
or
hold
good
on.
evening. And Brad's not recording yet.
Now I am.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome back to the Blurring the Lines podcast. This is episode 135. I am your host, Peter Nikolaidis, and joining me, as always, my co-host, Adam Bell.
Adam Bell, here I am. Good to see you, Peter.
Good to see you too, Adam. How are you?
I am doing well, all considering living through a pandemic, had a world upside down with politics, and business owner. And we're all crooks, so I'm doing great.
Wait, hold on, what?
all small business owners, we're all crooks. I mean, that's what the IRS thinks.
Oh, well, yeah, guilty until proven innocent, right? That's the mantra in the United States.
Guilty. Don't worry, partner.
I'll drink to that.
This is a lose-lose for everyone. You're going to lose, and then we're going to spend your tax dollars making you lose. So lose-lose.
It's a zero-sum game.
The best thing you could do is just open up your wallet and let us have access to it, and let's just not fight this anymore.
But we're not bitter.
No.
I find, with the secret to taxes is to make your estimates, overpay them, and be thankful when you get anything back. And just you just got to start, like that. So that you sent me a document on savings. Yes, and we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah.
Amazing. There it is, right there in the main topic. Now that I have the right Google Doc, we'll get to that. Not spoiler alert. We're going to talk about money today. But before we get to that, I'm going to talk about taxes, which is kind of the opposite of money.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk about like how much should you save and stuff. But what people often don't think about is how much should you save, quote unquote, for taxes.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's really interesting. I mean, as someone who has always been relatively fiscally responsible, I am just still astounded when I meet up with a new small business owner who's just getting started and they have zero understanding of budgeting or taxes or payroll or expenses or the idea of separating personal from business in any respect. Not talking about like I use my business laptop to surf my home Facebook account. I'm talking about like I pay all of the expenses out of my personal checking account
or credit card. Yeah.
And personal credit card. Right. Now, there's nothing illegal about doing that, but it's incredibly messy.
It's messy,
depending on
it makes it harder.
Yeah, exactly. But wait, how's it harder? It's easier if I just have one credit card. Anyway, like, but it's from what was it? Profit First, that dude.
Yeah.
Pumpkin Plan guy and Profit First.
Oh, Mike Michalowicz.
Michalowicz, yes. I haven't listened to his podcast or read any of his stuff in a long time, but I mean, he wrote books that you could just like boil down to like a paragraph or two. They would be great executive book summary books.
Yeah.
It's like calculate how much money you need to make and figure out how much you're going to be needing to pay in taxes and set that aside before you spend it. Brilliant. Yeah. It's like going out to a restaurant in the United States and seeing that the entree that you're going to buy is going to cost $20. In the United States, because the United States, you're going to have to pay taxes, which we're not bitter, but you're also going to have to pay a tip on top of that because ludicrously stupid customs. Like we're going to give part of that bill that you owe, part of the salary or part of the wage that the person's serving you. You get to just arbitrarily determine what that's going to be.
You determine how good they deserve.
Yeah, exactly. So, most Americans, when you go out to eat in a restaurant, that the price that you see shown right there on the menu is not the price you're going to pay. And just like that, when you're a business owner, the amount of money that comes in when a client or a customer pays you is not the amount that you get to keep. right? Now, first
Right.
off, we're not even talking about expenses, right? Because if I have to like spend $5 to make a $7 sale, I've only made $2 of profit, but
Mm-hmm.
even less than that, there's taxes involved, right? These should be things like when you go to register a business, don't you think it would be interesting if people had to go through some sort of basic financial management for business owners like course before they did that? Wouldn't that be interesting?
That would be interesting. And, as you know, now that I've done a lot of businesses over the last 20 years, but I've been running this business for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I thought that I knew a lot when I started, but there was a whole lot of things that I did not know that I didn't know, like what you described there. And there was small business resources available to me even 12 years ago,
Yep.
that I did not take advantage of, that I should have taken advantage, where I
Yep.
should have taken. And I guess that's one place that the government does do something for us, where they try to be helpful. Um, but I also, when you sign up for a business license, they could say, have you done this basic training on a business license? Or do you already own a business and you don't need this, or, something? I don't know. It's probably un-American to do something like that, make somebody have education before
We can't require
we
that.
have a right to be stupid here.
And the thing is, like, there's a fine line between what's useful and then what's suddenly really, really onerous.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the first reading assignments that I had in my macroeconomics class, which I'm taking right now, was a guy, DeSoto, who did this research of developing nations and former Soviet bloc nations and all of the black market and underground economies that are springing up. And we're talking like in Latin America, like trillions of dollars of economies that are going around completely untapped by the governments. And one of the main reasons that he cites is the process for establishing a legal business is just so onerous that no one does it. Like it can take like 6 months or so of process applications just to stand up like a food stand or a street shopping cart, street cart type of kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to do that. They don't
No.
have the time, right? And then the money involved to like get real estate licenses can cost like, I don't have the exact numbers, but I remember reading these and just being astonished at how much the fees were.
Mm-hmm.
So I complain about like having to deal with the government from time to time, especially like when a state law changes. Vermont was horrible. Massachusetts, there's just as much crap that needs to be done, but at least they're a little more organized. By a little, I mean a lot more organized. So
Mm-hmm.
I can pick up the phone or I can go to the website and I can find the details. Whereas Vermont, it's all just like they were like the Greek embassy when I was trying to get my passport. I mean,
Yeah.
it's there anyway. But these other countries make this look like a walk in the park.
Mm-hmm.
Not even to mention like corruption and stuff. We're not even talking about that. I'm talking about like the legal process.
Yeah.
So I could see where something like before people start up a business, because we know like the vast majority of new businesses fail.
Yeah.
Right? The vast majority. I forget.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 80% will fail in the first year, and then like out of that, 80% more will fail in the second year or something. It's
stupid. Well, and Dave Ramsey talks. I mean, one of his statistics is you will start 10 businesses before you will have one successful. And now it may have been something as small as a little idea that you started off in and then realized this isn't going to work. I'm not ever going to make any money here.
Yep.
And Sublime happens to be my 10th business.
Does lemonade stand count?
Yeah, that would be a business, yes.
Okay. So I'd have to count back because I've had Paradigm for a while and I don't think it was quite my 10th business. But I had a bunch of little businesses in between.
Mm-hmm.
So like I started it and then I would focus on some other stuff and then I would come back to it and then focus on other stuff and then I would take a job and then I would come back to it. And so it's
but
probably,
then, But then within Paradigm, you being an MSP, you have silos of business aspects within your business, like
Bingo.
your software portion is a business, your,
Yes.
a time when you did hosted, that was a
Bingo.
business, and it
Web
has since
design.
dried up and changed. All these mini
Exactly.
business have
Yep.
come and gone within your business. So you've
Exactly what I was thinking.
probably run 50 businesses at this point.
So
But
out of that, I should have 5 successful ones, right?
yeah. But you make a good point about how easy it is to start a business in the United States, because you don't even have to sign up as a business. You can go to the bank and fill out a DBA form doing business as, because that's what I did initially. I didn't have a company. I did doing business as, so that I
Yeah.
could deposit checks.
Yeah.
And I kept that money as a separate thing, and you didn't even have to really do anything.
Well, I was going to say, you don't even need to do that much. I mean, I can grab a rake and go rake my neighbor's lawn and get paid $20. I'm quote unquote in business for
You are
myself.
in business.
Even without any DBA, without a separate bank account, without any permits, without any, certificates from the state or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the danger, is because people start these businesses. I had my former neighbor had a dog walking business, and she had a number of other ladies who, working for her, walking dogs and things. No shred of comprehension about taxes, payroll, who's paying what, are they contractors or employees? And she just gave me a deer in the headlights stare. I had no idea which, what's the difference? What does it matter? And I was like, how were you able to come this far? It's like, this is not safe. Yeah. So anyway,
since we're talking about this, I am going to put a link in the show note for the SBA, so that our listeners, if they're listening, they can 10 steps to start your own business, and the SBA's guidance with that. And there are people out there who are willing to help. And even if you just only read some of this stuff,
yes, don't
even actually get their help, you'll have a better clue.
How has your experience been? Have you engaged with SBA?
I did engage with SBA initially, and I met with, because there are volunteer business owner counselors, and I did meet with one once or twice. Kind of told them what I was doing. Here was my business plan.
Yep.
And they reviewed my business plan and said, they were just another veteran business owner.
Yeah.
They reviewed it. They said, yeah, you got a solid plan here. Here's some advice that I would give you. Go look up this, go do that. If you want to get together again, just reach out to me and I'll talk to you.
Yep.
And so it was kind of a peer mentoring situation. And that's kind of, so you can volunteer to be a peer mentor.
The idea has crossed my mind. My experience with them has been hit or miss.
Yeah.
And it really depends. I had a couple of, of counselors, and they were really useful, really good, really useful information. And I had a few others who were just like, they don't get it. They don't understand the business I'm in. They're talking about wanting to talk about inventory management and all. I was like, yeah, but I don't want to sell stuff. I don't
want to keep inventory.
I do just in time. I don't need to house anything. I can get anything I need tomorrow. It's okay.
Yeah.
But it is worth at least looking at, some documentation. Like I was looking, my plan earlier was I was going to be looking for my home down south just before COVID. I was checking out Arizona. And so I was looking to set up calls with the SBA, branches down in Arizona, just to say, hey, I want to transplant and, be working down here like half the year or so. What do I need to do to establish myself as a business? Or does it make sense to just keep it as an LLC in Massachusetts doing business in the state of Arizona? What do I need to do?
Right.
Just ask those questions. Right. And then COVID-19 hit, and that, plan got torpedoed. So don't have to worry about that right now. I will say that, from the small business owner's perspective, life is so much simpler if you stay within one state.
Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, as someone who has operated out of 3 states at the same time, that's a pain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it's really a pain. You've got 3 states, not counting local or counties, and then the feds that you have to be, coordinating with.
Mm-hmm.
That becomes a hassle, and it's real easy to miss something. And the next thing you know, you're like, getting these letters that you owe hundreds or thousands of dollars in penalties or taxes or whatnot because you didn't file this or you didn't pay that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's a turnoff.
Yeah.
That really makes me not want to do business in your state.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Well, and collecting tax. I mean, we've talked about it before, where I actually got in trouble with the sales tax because it was my understanding as a service company, and the way that I read the law was that I didn't have to collect sales tax, and it didn't matter how I read the law, I was wrong.
You were wrong.
I was wrong, and I am 3 years and 11 months into my payback program for all the taxes that I did not collect, plus penalty.
Oy.
So it's not a matter of now I just get to pay it back. I get to pay it back with penalty and interest. So
you are such a good citizen.
Well, yeah, I didn't mean to be. I
did not mean to be such a good citizen.
I would have loved to have realized that I was making a mistake, correct the mistake, and not have to pay all the back taxes. But it's like I said, it's the right thing to do.
Yep.
So it's right. That's what I'm doing.
It would be nice if they didn't have quite as many of these traps for us to walk into, though. So
yeah, I would have loved to have received a letter that says, you've been in business now for 2 years. Other businesses like yours are sending us sales tax, and they're required by this ordinance. You are not sending that. Let's talk.
Let's talk. Let's talk. Yeah.
Instead, they waited 8 years. So I did this for 8 years.
Well, and the state of Vermont's way of doing it, and this was one of the reasons that I got livid and was just like, that's it, I'm closing up shop. One of the final straws for my coffee shop was they decided at one point, I don't remember what it was, but someone brilliant in the state of Vermont Department of Taxes decided that they should just estimate what people owed for taxes and tell them that they hadn't paid it. And so I got a bill from my coffee shop saying that I owed like $10,000 in rooms and meals tax. I wanted to punch someone in the blankety blank face. I was like, I haven't done $10,000 worth of business, you son of a blank, but like, I was just like, that's ridiculous, and my accountant at the time was like, oh, don't worry about it. And I was like, no, I am worried about it, because I got a letter from the freaking state saying that I owe more than $10,000 in taxes. It's like that's really, you can see how much this aggravates me. This is over 10 years ago, and I'm still ticked off at this. So I just like, but hey, they can get away with that crap because they're the government.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to something happy about a small win that I had last week.
Small win. All right.
Small win. Actually, it was supposed to be. We were going to talk about it. We didn't get to it.
Mm-hmm.
You have a garbage disposal?
I do have a garbage disposal.
You ever have trouble with it?
Nope.
The only trouble I usually have is like if I put something in it that it very clearly after the fact I really should have realized it could not dispose of.
There's no way this grapefruit is going to go through that.
But let's find out. I mean, like, I'm not talking about spoons or tin cans, okay? I'm not a billy goat, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I put in some stuff. What was I trying to get rid of last week? Oh, I had a bunch I had a bunch of old greens.
Oh.
And just, like a ton of them. And I'm like, well, I could throw them in the trash or I could throw them in the garbage disposal, so I just threw them in there. And it was just going and going and going and going. But you can still hear it when it's in there. It's not being disposed of. Yeah, exactly. And so then I would run water in it, but then the water started to back up. So it wasn't, I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not good. And I kept on running it. And eventually it stopped. It's like, oh.
There you go.
Okay, that's not cool. And I opened it up and I looked at it underneath and I touched the garbage disposal and boy, it was hot.
Uh-huh.
I was like, well, I might have just cost myself several $100s and then, have my plumber come along and replace this thing. I was like, let me look at this and see if I can find a way to fix this. Let's see if there's a quick fix, how to repair my garbage disposal. And I poked around, and sure enough, I looked around and I found first article I found online on, how to do it yourself, DIY.com or whatever, I don't know, was check underneath for the red button. There should be a button on it, like a circuit breaker kind of thing. And I was like, oh, okay, let's look around. And I felt around. I couldn't see it because it's on the underside of the garbage disposal, but I did find something and I pressed it. And those, when you flip a switch, you can tell it's not taking. You press it and nothing happens. That was going on. And I was like, okay, obviously. So what happens is it has an overheat prevention switch, which got triggered. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just wait for a while. In the meantime, my sink is backed up and I've got like dill and shallot greens floating around in it. It's rather disgusting.
You got your shop vac to clean out your sink?
Came close. But I had a plunger, I was plunging the thing. And so I'm like, all right, well, this isn't going to work. And of course, I'm impatient. So I grabbed my ice packs out of the freezer and wrapped it around the thing, hoping to cool it down faster. And it took about 15 minutes or so, but then I tried it again, and sure enough, it turned on. I'm like, oh, okay.
Cheers.
Yay. All right. I'm going to let it alone. I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to just, I threw a bunch of ice into the sink just to start getting things cooler and stuff. And eventually, I was able to clean it out and got it working again.
There you go.
So, rule number 1 is don't run your garbage disposal too long. Rule number 0 is learn what stuff you should not put in the garbage disposal. And rule number 0.5 is don't overstuff the poor thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was a neat little trick. If your garbage disposal ever just stops working, just turn it off, let it sit for, go make yourself a cup of coffee. Don't pour the grinds in the garbage disposal. Go do something else.
You're never supposed to put grinds in there.
Yeah. I have a confession. I do that all the time.
Your trap is probably full.
Probably is.
Yeah. So what you need to do, if you have been pouring grinds in there,
I'm making coffee. I'm making the world's oldest brewed cup of coffee in that trap.
Yeah. What you need to do frequently, maybe once a week, is
pull the trap out.
Well, get yourself a big pot of water.
Yep.
Pour the water down the garbage disposal side at a fast rate, as fast as it'll go down there, because it'll help clean the trap.
Yep.
And that should clean out your second side of the sink. If you look, you should be able to see the garbage disposal draining into the second side of the sink.
Well, I only have one drain.
Then no problem. So, but yeah, and then you could also, since I seem to know a lot about garbage disposals, but is to take a quarter or an eighth of a lime or a lemon and grind it in there from time to time, like every month, once a month. It helps take the smell down.
Oh, okay.
And it also breaks down funk that's growing. The acid in there will kill other things from growing in there. And it'll also, it'll make your garbage disposal live longer.
Interesting. I wish I had known that last week. I had a bunch of limes that were just starting to turn and I threw them all away. I should have just thrown them all right down in the garbage disposal.
No, just a quarter of one. Just chop it,
rinds and all, peel and all, the whole
Yeah.
thing. Just throw it right in there. Go.
You can put the rind in, but just a quarter of a
Quarter
lime.
of a rind.
Yeah, a quarter
So
of a
maybe
lime.
drink your Corona and then pour
There you
everything
go.
else out.
There you go.
Got it.
So I thought you were going to tell me that you changed your own garbage disposal.
Oh,
But-
heck no.
So there's do you know who Robert Kiyosaki is, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that he tells in there is part of his, teaching process of, spending good money and spending bad money was a story that he tells about he changed his own garbage disposal. And he was kind of proud of it. He was kind of proud of it, but he went to, I'm going to use even numbers to make it easy, but he went to Home Depot or wherever and bought one for $150. Spent 2 days and got it fixed. Well, a plumber friend of his, he told his plumber friend the story, and he said, "Why'd you do that?" He said, I could have bought this disposal for $75 wholesale, and I would have charged you $50 to change it out,
Mm-hmm.
and you would have spent less money, and I would have changed it out, and it would have been done in an hour. Then you took 2 days to do it, and he was like, huh. And all the money that was his time, his money was wasted in that process.
Yes.
And he may not have even done it right. It may leak a month from now.
And that's where you're going. Like, am I physically and mentally capable of changing a garbage disposal?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Is it worth my time? Hell no.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I've got a perfectly capable plumber and he does great work. I've never had complaints about his work, and that's his chosen line of profession. So
yeah. I mean, if that's your hobby, like that's what you do.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But if you want to play Mushkin or you want to play Deadlands, rather than changing garbage disposals, let somebody else change that garbage disposal and you enjoy your evening.
And that's it. Tomorrow afternoon, for instance, like I could see myself, because the way I do things is I often, and this is like a flaw, a personality trait, a quirk, I don't know, of my own, that I've known for a long time. I'm really good about getting things going and starting them off and then overseeing them, but I'm not a finisher. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not a closer, right? That's not my strength, right?
Coffee's for closers, Peter. Coffee's for closers.
Coffee's for closers, right? Well, not this closer. So, but I know that, right? So that's why I have made sure that I have other people to do stuff like that. If it's for whatever reason, like I love finishing a task, but I'm more about like starting a new one. That's more what I do. So this is one of the reasons though that I like to manage small teams. I'll start projects, and then once things I've gotten the momentum and it's pushed, I'm like, okay, now you jump in and I'll keep pushing, and okay, pop the clutch and go right.
There you go.
I'll just make sure, keep it a little to the left, a little to the right. Okay, you're good. Right.
Let me ask you this: when you were 28, were you that way, or did you evolve to that?
I think I was like that.
See, I wasn't. I evolved. I'm where you are now, but I didn't used to be that way. I used to have to start it and see it to the finish because nobody can do it as well as me. And now I've evolved to where that's foolishness.
Yeah, this is not like a perfectionist gene or anything like that, or thing for me. It's just, one could say it's like a sign of laziness of some sort, and in some ways laziness is a virtue, right? Being able to get maximum output with minimal input, I think that's a virtue. That's awesome. But where I was going with this is, what would happen is I would start the process of replacing the garbage disposal. I would get tired after just pulling everything apart, and I would take a break. And then I would probably come back to it in about an hour, play with it a little more, get a little bit further. And by Sunday evening, maybe I'd have the job finished. But all weekend, I'd be garbage disposal free, and I would have this chore that's looming over me, and I wouldn't get my homework done. I wouldn't go out running. I wouldn't do yoga. I wouldn't play Deadlands. I wouldn't do all these other fun things that I want in my life. It's just not a great use of my time.
Yep. I get it.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. So on that note, let's talk about our main topic.
Okay. Well, I got one more headline thing.
Let's talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Let's talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Why don't you just tell me what we're going to talk about?
So I didn't know this, but I requested another SBA loan on Wednesday.
Did I also?
I don't think you did.
But you didn't know that you did, so maybe I don't know that I did.
Maybe you did and you don't know it.
Oh boy.
But I did. So I got a call from the a gentleman from the SBA.
Yep.
And I knew that I didn't request a loan, but I did request, when they were talking about the $10,000 grant that you could get in March because of COVID. Yep. I applied for that.
Right.
Because we didn't know, there was a lot of things we didn't know at the time, but I was going to apply for it. And if I didn't need it, I didn't need it, and I wasn't going to take it. Yep. Well, I didn't need it, and I wasn't going to take it. So I just let the application process die.
Yep.
So he called me yesterday saying that he was going to deny my application loan. And I'm thinking, okay, well, this is the second time that they've called me. Let me just go ahead and tell them, kill that loan. Because it's almost a year later and they're still calling me about this. So let's kill this thing, because otherwise they'll keep calling.
Save them some time.
Yeah, I saved them some time. So I got on the phone with him, and he said, well, I got a notification that you were requesting a new loan. I took a look at your website. The loan says that you only have 2 employees. It says your phone number is out of Louisiana, and I went to your website and you have like 60 employees. So this didn't match up. So I was going to deny this loan.
Okay. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that none of those are true.
No, none of those. None of those are true.
Okay. You don't have 2 employees. You don't have 60 employees. Last I checked, you're not in Louisiana. So
not in Louisiana. But the wonderful thing is, the person who signed up for the SBA loan had my social security number, my real one, not a made up one. But of course he didn't, and it wasn't a scam. He didn't ask me for it. He didn't provide it. He told me that, it came through, it had my social security, and he was really doing a courtesy call, just saying, hey, I think you've been compromised, which I really did appreciate.
Yeah.
So, I said, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, you can close out this loan process. I didn't request this. And so I called. I've got insurance. Xander Insurance is one of my cybersecurity insurances.
Right.
So I've got more than one, but this one. So I called him. I said, hey, I just got this call. Described it. She said, well, there's 2 things you can do. You can either do a freeze or you can do a fraud alert. And freeze stops everything. Yep. Fraud alert just makes everybody heightened who is requesting your stuff. I said, let's do a fraud alert. And while I was doing my fraud alert, I also found out that I have a house in Las Vegas, Nevada.
That's amazing. I did not know that.
I did not know that either. And so I made that known that is not a valid address for me. I've never lived in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. I've spent 2 days there at most, 48 hours, and that was at the MGM Grand. And they don't let me put that down as my address.
Residence. I'm not paying them enough to actually live here.
Yeah. They don't even comp me drinks.
Losers.
So that was funny. So and I hadn't received any notification on my my whatever report, my Experian, whatever those private. So if I were you, Peter, I would probably review it if you haven't reviewed it in the last quarter.
Well, I did look in because I got my SBA loan through Cabbage, and I did check just yesterday, I believe, and it
Hmm.
says loan repayment instructions are coming soon.
Yeah. So,
Still coming soon.
yeah. Well,
Ah,
so I was glad to, like I said, that was a, thanks SBA. That was good service.
so they did something good.
So,
That is actually kind of nice.
yeah. So even though he worked for the government, he was a solid dude.
Just because you work for the government doesn't mean that you're a jerk. Just happens that those line up a lot.
They line up a lot.
All right, let's get to the main topic.
Yeah, let's go to the main topic.
Before I alienate any more of our listener.
Yeah, he called me a loser. I'll show him a loser. I see an audit in his future.
I was just going to say, now who's losing? Yeah, okay, thanks.
Thanks. All right, so I ran across this article, and we've talked about retirement before.
Yes, we have.
And I will include this link in the show notes. But I thought it was a well-written article, kind of giving guidelines of where you should be in your retirement as you're going along. And I got some excellent advice when I was 18.
Oh.
And it was, put as much money as you possibly can, even if you feel like it's not very much money. Just put something away with your first real job. And as soon as I started putting money in at 18 and 19 when I had a real job. But I started putting money in retirement and 401k at the company where I worked, put as much as I could. And it has made such a big difference. Those small dollars in my 20s mean a whole lot in my 60s.
I wish that I had known that. Yeah. I mean, I'm all about saving and, as much as I can now, but man, I would have gotten so much more bang for my buck if I had put it away when I was, they give the example, I think, when I was in college, where like if you, they give two examples. Like one guy starts saving at 18 and puts away like $5,000 and then stops saving.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next guy starts saving when he's 30 and has to save for the rest of his life just to catch up to where the 18-year-old was.
Yeah.
And I was like, ah!
So this article, so they break it down. So in the 20s, so I thought there was numbers to say about how much.
Yeah, they do.
They do. So I don't see it at age 20, but how much money to save by age 25 is their advice is shoot for about 1/4 of your annual cash. What you get as gross after taxes, what you get, put that in as your savings. So that, and there it goes, around $10,000. So age 25, you should be putting in about $10,000. You're like, well, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
To a 25-year-old. And I remember that being a lot of money. So how much is 10,000? When I was like 700.
My salary was like maybe $30,000 when I was that age.
Yeah.
That's like, like that a third of everything before taxes.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But, well, I'm sorry. That's not save 10,000 a year. By 25, you should have about 10,000.
Exactly. That's a little more palatable.
Yeah, because 10,000 a year is $833. But if you had been saving since you're 20, so let's say 5 years, so 10,000 divided by 5 is $2,000 a year. $2,000 a year divided by 12, it's $167 per month.
That's pocket change these days.
Yes. Yeah.
So like I'm looking at like, no, I need to be saving more like that every month, not every year.
Yeah. Yeah. So and neither of us are 25 anymore. So let's see what they say at age 30. So age 30 would have about average, and by 30, it's looking at 40,000. So age 35, you should have close to $50,000 in retirement.
Okay.
Age 40, you should have close to 150,000.
Okay.
And age 45, which is right where we are, we're a little bit older than 45. Where's our number here? I want us 200,000. So we should and this is just to be healthy. I mean, be able to retire not on Alpo.
Not on what?
Not on Alpo.
Oh,
not living on Alpo.
I think you said not on out on a boat. Wait,
well, because
what?
I believe the numbers when I was running these before. So, if you had 200,000 right now at age 45, you're looking at, if you retire at 65, you would have about $2 million. And if you lived off of the interest on that, estimated interest of 6% on average, some years more, some years less, you would have an income of like $103,000 per year. For a couple, that's about the same as they're working if they're just middle class, middle class worker. So that would be a good place to be.
Yep.
So I like to have a little bit higher quality of living in retirement because I want to be able to take my kids or grandkids to Disney and.
So Star-Kissed, not Alpo?
Star-Kissed, yeah. I want to go up rather than Alpo.
Yeah, seafood. Seafood's fancier.
So let's see. So 45 is at 200,000, and I don't think they go any higher than that because it's like you mentioned, it's really hard to start investing at 45 and come up with
anything.
with anything. Because my investing, like now, I'm 15 years away from 60. So how old am I? I'm 46.
How
old am I?
But how old are you, Adam? Jeez.
but there's a big difference in retiring at 65 in your money versus 72. I mean, not 72, but 70 also. Yep. So if you have a good lifestyle and you're healthy and you can continue to work, you're in a vocation that will allow you to work to 70, your money will be worth so much more at 70 than it will be at 65.
Yep.
So God willing, I'm not going to touch my retirement till 70, but like I said, God willing, never know.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah. So all that to say, if you're 45, you should have about 200,000 in your retirement now. If you don't, get on it. Get
after it.
Don't buy that $70,000 4x4 truck.
I thought you were going to say that $70,000 4-door sedan. I was like, but Adam,
Don't buy that Tesla.
Oh, how about that Tesla stock though?
Yeah.
So on that note, so I mentioned that I bought the full self-driving upgrade, right?
You did? Mm-hmm.
And they said that within, I don't remember, it was like within 10 days or something, or like by November 11th or so, they were supposed to let me know when the upgrade was available so I could schedule the hardware upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't. So I'm just going to open up a new service call and say, hey guys, when are you going to talk to me? Hey, you guys, hey, you there? Hi.
Hello. Hey.
Hi. Hello.
I'm going to send a new chat.
Yep, exactly. So that's fun. Oh, right. So we know how much we have to have saved. So that's good.
Yep.
So I don't have a new Nifty this week. I am pleased to say that the Wahoo Ticker Fit heart rate monitor that I got is working out.
Mm-hmm.
I did have some concerns about it because I was wearing it on my forearm.
Right.
Like we've talked about before, when something even like lightly constricts my body in certain ways, it becomes really uncomfortable and it causes my muscles to tense up.
Right.
But I found out that I can also wear it on the upper arm, mm-hmm. which I've been doing. And when I put it there, I forget it's there.
Cool.
So I'm actually wearing it right now. And if I don't think about it, I forget about it. So. Mm-hmm. All in all, I think it is mildly more accurate than the watch. The watch definitely, especially with iOS 7, has become, watch OS 7 became a little bit funky, and, especially like getting those initial readings on workouts was really unreliable.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely feels to me like I'm getting more consistent readings.
Good.
That said, they're not super duper different. I looked at my numbers for like a year ago, and when I'm running, my heart rate was usually in the 150s or so.
Mm-hmm.
So and now it's usually in the 140s, 150s. So it's not dramatically different, but it's dramatically different from the readings that I was getting recently, right after upgrading to watch OS 7, because that was putting me up at like 190.
Mm-hmm.
In the, like, for a guy your age, you should have a heart attack zone.
Yeah. Are you dead?
Yeah. Are you sure you're reading? Should we call 911? Are we?
Yeah.
Would you like us to call someone for you? Because this doesn't seem healthy. So yeah, there you go. I think that's about all I've got at the moment. What else you got?
I'll tell you a little funny story talking about heart rate. So Wednesday. So I do CrossFit.
Yep.
And one of the
guys,
guys,
the cult of CrossFit, we know.
I'm one of the cult of CrossFit. One of the guys that is also a member of the cult, he is the same age as me. We graduated same class in high school, but not the same schools. We actually did play football against each other, but we didn't know each other until recently. And so he's the same age as me, and typically he's faster than me. I'm not speedy. I am one of those guys that I will not quit. I'm not like one of those turtles that's like really slow. I'm the slowest of the fast guys. Mm-hmm. And I always get it done. I never quit, but I'm not the fastest. Well, he beats me 9 times out of 10. But every once in a while, I'll have a tailwind and I can beat him, and he hates it. He hates it. It doesn't bother me as much as it bothers him. But every once in a while, I just get I get tickled if I can beat him. Mm-hmm. So we had on Wednesday, we had this marathon. It was 75 wall balls with 20-pound ball, and then you had to run 600 meters and come back and do deadlifts and then start it over again. Well, I got through my wall balls pretty quick, and I was leaving for my run, and he wasn't done with his wall balls. And I said, I think I might be able to beat him on this one today. And so I took it slow. My run, the first 300 meters of my run, I took it slow, and I could hear him heavy breathing coming up on me. And I got to the turn point, and I went as fast as I could go, coming back, and he couldn't catch up. And I ended up beating him, got done with it. And, he didn't make much of a big deal about it. And then I texted him later. Me and this other guy, we text, we joke around, and I texted with him. He's like, yeah, I tried all I could do to catch you, and I just couldn't catch you. And I was so mad. I was like, I knew I got you.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, I knew that was going to get under your skin. He didn't say anything then, but it grated on him all day till he's like, I thought I was going to catch you. I couldn't catch you.
Last week on Saturday, I ran out with my my running group, with my coach and the group that he's put together, my former roommate, Charlie. Incidentally, if you are interested in learning how to run, it is Nope, that's not his website. Darn it! What is it? How? I thought I had it, but apparently I don't have it. So, well, anyway, my friend Charlie launched a website whose URL I'm forgetting right now. It's not the one I thought it was. But anyway, I went running with them, and he took us down a trail. He's like, hey, you guys want to go down my favorite hill? And I was like, oh, this is going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
And so we're with a group, he's in his late 20s now. The rest of the group, I'm pretty sure, are all in their 20s.
Yeah.
And then there's me, literally old enough to be their dad.
Yeah.
And so the 5 of us went down this 1/4 mile hill. and
Yeah.
then turned around and went straight back up it again. And I started out at the back of the pack, and Charlie was leading. And, towards the end, I caught up. I was within about 50 feet of him at the top of the hill.
Nice.
We were way ahead of everybody else, except he was just like, do, 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 do. And I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I got to the top of the hill, and I said, remind me not to try to keep up with you on hills.
Yeah.
Every time I run with him and there's a hill, it feels like I'm killing myself.
Yeah. You tie a rope to him.
Pretty much. But, I was pretty happy that I was still able to, effectively smoke everyone else in the group. So I was
Well, heck yeah.
You know what? Being number 2, I'll try harder.
Yeah. We don't mind being number 2. We try harder.
We're totally good with that. All right. Do we have anything else that we need to cover today?
No, we do not.
Well, this is the part where I normally say, I'm going to go out for a run, but I did that this morning. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I switched up my routine this week. I'm targeting 30 kilometers every week. And what I've been doing is
I'm
10K.
American. I don't know what a kilometer is.
About 0.6 miles.
Oh, there. Okay.
0.62. A little over half a mile.
Okay.
So I'm targeting about 18 miles a week. Let's put it that
Nice.
way. 18 and a half miles a week. And what I'd been doing was just 10K, every couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
But the weather, last week the weather was kind of nice one day. So I ran, I did an extra 5K. And then I did an extra 5K, but I hadn't rested. So I wasn't really feeling up for a 10K the next day. So I just kept on doing 5Ks every day.
There you go.
And so I still have to do another one tomorrow, and then I will meet my thing. But then I think maybe, I don't know, I have to take a rest day somewhere in there, and then I'm going to target back to getting on. I really like where my body is when I do a 10K every other day. That it feels good. That combined with the 100 push-ups we're doing every day. And, we don't see, there's a little bit of banter on the Signal group, but, it's definitely fostering a little more camaraderie with some of my friends at work, which is also what I was hoping. So, you're welcome. Obviously, this is your idea. So if you want to invite any other buddies, bring them on in, so. I know you'll vouch for them. They're cool. And we can always kick anybody else that we don't like. All right. So.
Yeah. I thought about you told me later that the one guy was your boss who was in the group. He said, well, just give me a heads up. This is my boss. And I thought about sending something like, Peter, you said this guy was a jerk. He's pretty cool.
You could totally do that. And I'm sure, yes, it would go over perfectly well. I think you should. Yeah, Peter, I thought you said your boss was a jerk, but he's pretty cool. And I could see I would either get a private message from him or just like, ... from him, or nothing at all.
Yeah.
Most likely nothing at all. Anyway, on that note, I think it's your turn to take us out.
It is. So we do want your feedback. So if you'd like to give us some feedback, please do so. You can do so on our webpage at www.blurringthelinespodcast.com. There's a contact us form. It will email Peter and it will email me, and it won't email you, but you don't want to be spammed anyway. So if you want to discuss something in particular, we're willing to entertain talking about that. So 1 thumb up from Peter, maybe 2, and now the other. Now 2 thumbs up. So with that, I think we'll use one of those thumbs to hit the big red button. Thumbs.
Thumbs.
Thumbs. Have you
Cool.